Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome to Sixx Daze. I am Bob Sixx. I appreciate you being here. Today we're going to have a little fun. I'm going to do my top 6 favorite street jokes. For those of you that don't know what a street joke is, it's jokes that everybody knows. They tell it though. Water fountain at work, around campfires, at parties. Everybody. Over all my years of doing this, telling jokes, loving to make people laugh, I'm still surprised to this day what jokes some people don't know. Which is why I never hesitate to tell a joke. If you know it, fine. If you don't, eh. And if it's a great joke, you're still going to laugh. Hey, before we go any farther, I would really appreciate it if you consider hitting that subscribe button, click that bell so that you know every time I post a new video. Try to do it every Tuesday and Thursday. Sometimes life gets in the way and I don't quite make it. But I've been fairly accurate lately. Accurate? That's not the correct word. Fairly consistent lately. I'm not going to edit this. I'm going to leave that like that to show you I ain't perfect. Kind of like it when people mess up and they just start over and drive on. Because that's what you do in life. Something messes you up, start over and drive on. So without any further ado, let's get to my jokes. The reason I'm going to start with number 6 is not because of my name, that would be too obvious. I literally just had someone try to tell me this joke on Sunday. I've known this joke since the 5th grade. I've always hung around older people and I learned this one. This was my about 3rd adult joke that I learned. I still remember my very first joke. I just don't find it funny anymore. Even rearranging it, I don't find it that funny. And I remember 3 or 4 other ones after that, but that was in the early 70s, so most of them are racial jokes, and I don't find most racial jokes funny. I'm not saying there aren't any funny ones, but there's just too much funny in the world for me to have to do those. So I choose not to do them, and I don't. But this joke, like I said, I learned it in the 5th grade. I understood it, thought it was hilarious. I actually had to stop telling it until about the 7th grade for my friends to catch up to me. Because if I have to explain the joke, it's not that funny. So here we go with number 6. One day this little boy is standing in his backyard watching the 2 dogs across the fence get it on. His dad comes out and goes, "What you doing, son?" He said, "Well, I'm trying to figure out what those 2 dogs are doing." "Well, son, they're mating." "Mating? What's that?" Now, his parents were hippies, and they decided when the time came, instead of having the birds and the bees talk, they'd just show them. So on the way up, he calls his wife. She runs and jumps in bed and spreads, and he says, "You see that hole between your mother's legs? Just watch old Dad." Man, Dad's knocking the bottom out of it. His little sister comes in and goes, "Ugh, what are they doing?" He says, "Well, sis, they're mating." She says, "Mating? What's that?" Now, he knows everything. So he takes off all of his clothes and says, "You see that hole between Dad's legs? Just watch me." I really did have to explain that joke for quite some time. It's oldie but a goodie. I think the reason I have so much attachment to that joke is it was my first real grown-up joke that I knew was funny, and grown-ups enjoyed it too. Number 5, meet the Pope. This super rich American guy had done everything on his bucket list except one thing, and that was meet the Pope. So he decides, I know that he comes out and greets people daily and gives them blessings. I'm going to go to the Vatican. I'm going to be in that line, and he's going to see me, and he's going to know I'm someone of power. So he goes and has a nice $2,500 suit, custom tailored made. Flies over to Rome, goes to the Vatican the next morning, and sure enough, here comes the Pope. He's stopping, blessing random people, and walks right by him as if he doesn't even exist. Goes about 3 people down and stops at this raggy ass, nasty smelling bum. Blesses him and goes on his way. That rich guy was like, what the hell? Hey, if he likes bums, he's going to get a bum. So he went over to the bum and said, hey, I'll give you $2,500 cash and this suit for those rags you're wearing. Bum said, okay. They switch out. Bum goes on his way. That guy sleeps outside that night. Make sure he gets nice and smelly. Next morning, he's standing on the line. And here comes the Pope. And sure enough, the Pope stops in front of him, grabs him by his shoulders, and leans over and says, I thought I told you yesterday to get the fuck out of here. I love that joke, and I don't care who doesn't. That's why I keep telling it. Number 4 is kind of a long one. The dangers with long street jokes, or any long joke, is the payoff has to be worth it. I think the payoff is worth this one, which is why I continue to tell it. So, number 4. I call this one Shitty Zoo. This single father of 5 had been out of work for 2 years. He's on the street corners begging every day, looking for work. And he sees an ad in the paper that says, looking for someone who is muscular and has acrobatic skills. Apply in person. So he goes in, they take him in, they have him sign some confidentiality contracts first. He thinks that's weird. And the general manager of the zoo sits down and says, all right, so here's what we got going on. Mongo, our star gorilla that draws people from all over the world, has died. It will take us another 5 years to get another gorilla. But we have a costume that's really good, and nobody can get close enough to really get a good look at you. So if you could pull it off and act like Mongo, we've got a job for you. Full bennies and everything. You think you can do it? Guy says, hell yeah. He said, let me see your acrobatic skills. Act like a monkey. Guy jumps around, does some flips and shit. Says, you're hired. So first day he's a little nervous, but crowd goes wild. Second day he gets a little more intense. And after a couple of weeks, he's really fallen into the groove. So he's doing these super stunts and tricks, and the crowds are going wild. So he swings on this vine, and as the vine extends fully out, it breaks, and he goes over into the lion's cage. And he's like, oh my God. It's okay. People love me. They're going to get help. So he doesn't really panic. The lion's asleep anyways. The crowd's doing the ooh, ahs. But everybody's videoing. Nobody's doing anything to help him. And he's like, whoo, 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 whoo. Nobody helps. Gets a little more panic. Whoo, 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 whoo. Nobody helps. Lion wakes up because all the noise. Sees him and starts low crawling towards him. And he's like, oh my God. Woo, 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 woo. Nobody helps. Finally, the lion's getting ready to pounce. He's like, fuck this. I've got kids to take care of. Help! Help! I'm a man! Help me! And the lion goes, hey, dude, shut the fuck up before you get us fired. I love that joke. You'll find out that I love most of the jokes that I tell. Otherwise, I wouldn't tell them. Number 3 is an oldie but a goodie. It's called the Staff of Life. A priest and a nun were riding a camel through the desert on their way to a new mission. At about the halfway point, the camel drops dead. Now they know they're going to die because they're too far from the mission to get help, and they're too far back from civilization to get back. So they say their prayers, make their peace with God, and they're sitting around waiting to die. All of a sudden the priest gets this idea. He says, you know, sister, we're going to die anyways. I've always wanted to see a naked woman. She says, you're right. And I've always wanted to see a naked man, so if you take off your clothes, I'll take off mine. So he does, she does. He starts to get a hard on. And he gets this idea. He goes, sister, do you know what this is? She said, no. He said, it's the Staff of Life. Anything I put this in will live forever. She's like, woo! All right! She grabs her habit, starts putting it on. The priest goes, what are you doing? She said, that's great. You've got the Staff of Life. Stick it up that camel's ass. Let's get the fuck out of here. Number 2. This one, he's kind of mean, but I think it's hilarious. One night around 11:30 at night, New York City bus. It's just the bus driver. All of a sudden he sees a nun at the bus stop. Stops and picks her up. He's checking her out in the mirror. She's pretty hot. So he starts talking to her. She starts talking back. She seems pretty cool. So he starts dropping some sexual innuendos into the conversation. She picks up on him and says, you know, I've always wanted to try anal sex. But if the church even knew I was thinking about it or had thought about it, I'd be excommunicated. All I've ever wanted was to be a nun. The guy said, well, sister, I'm your man. Doing it with me would be like not doing it at all. Who am I going to tell and who would believe me? So she thinks about it for a minute and says, I'll tell you what. If you can meet these two stipulations, I'll do it. You can't be married and you can't have any children. That just wouldn't be right. He said, well, I ain't married and I damn sure don't have any kids. She said, okay. Find an alleyway. He pulls into an alleyway, shuts off the lights, knocks it out. They get their clothes back on, straighten up and start going again. And he's looking at her in the mirror just feeling guilty as hell. He says, you know, sister, I need to make a confession to you. I am married and I have 3 beautiful children. I'm so sorry. And she said, well, I feel I should confess something to you too. What could you possibly confess to me? She said, my real name's John and I'm on my way to a costume party. My number one joke, street joke, that I love, very mean, but it makes me laugh. All the years I've been telling it, I'd laugh every time. So here we go with number 1. 3 guys make it to final stage of testing to become FBI agents. The instructor walks in and says, congratulations, gentlemen. You have made it where few do. This is your final stage of testing. If you hesitate to complete this final challenge, or even to attempt it, you fail. You've wasted all this time. If you successfully pass it, you're in. You are in the FBI. So he walks up to the first guy, holds out a .45 and says, your wife's in that room. Go shoot her. He said, I can't do that. We've been married for 38 years, have 4 beautiful children, 7 beautiful grandchildren. I can't imagine my life without her. He said, I'm sorry, you failed. Takes the gun away from him. Walks up to the next guy and says, your wife's in that room, go shoot her. He said, I can't do that. We ain't been married a year. We're still having new marriage sex. We haven't even had our first fight. Not one crossword, not one minor argument about anything. Not a disagreement. You fell. Thank you for coming. Third guy snatches the gun out of his hand and said, which room? He said, that one. The guy kicks the door open, slams it shut. Bam, 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 bam. And all of a sudden there was a fight. Screaming, cussing, chairs flying, glass breaking. About 15 minutes later, the guy comes out, the black eye, bloody nose, fat lip, 2 teeth missing, his shirt's ripped. The instructor said, my God, what happened? The guy said, man, that gun was full of blanks. I had to choke that bitch. For the record, the reason I had to speak so fast was I'm trying to keep this under a certain time amount, and I wanted to make sure I got the jokes in. So, that's my top 6. Let me know what you think. If you like them, great. If you don't like them, that's okay too. If you've got one that you think's funnier, leave it in the comments. I love to read jokes. Love to read them. I don't enjoy being told them so much because most people don't have that panache for telling jokes. They're just kind of like they're reading Bible verses. This boy was in the backyard. I don't like that. Hey, I appreciate you being here. If you enjoyed it, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Click that bell. I try to post new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. Until next time, I hope you have a great day. If you get a chance, make someone laugh. We need more laughter in the world. I am Bob Sixx. Peace!